Greetings, Commander. This is Commander Atlas Rand, and today we are continuing on with the journey of our now 4-day-old character, who on the first day was able to make enough money to buy a Mandalay, and then over the course of the next 2 days had gone out into the black to get first footfall discoveries of plants in exobiology, then returned here to this station, Orstad Gateway, and now, I guess technically on the 4th day, maybe the 5th day of gameplay, because obviously I'm doing other things in between, but on the 5th game day, is now ready to go start gathering raw materials to be able to do engineering. Remember, this ship, the Mandalay, is completely unengineered and does not have a Guardian frame drive booster, and so it is as good as it gets for an unengineered ship at 45 light years unladen, 41.5 laden, which is pretty darn good, frankly. Something that wouldn't be possible without the Mandalay, but it's also less than half of the potential jump range, as on my older characters, the Mandalays typically have a 90 light year range jump, fully unladen, and about 82 to 85 with fuel. So there is a long way to go. And there are 2 paths to go next. One would be to go get the Guardian booster, which would be a fairly long series of jumps out to the Guardian zones in order to unlock something that would add 10 light years of jump range. While that would be good, it would boost us from the 46 to 56. Actually, it's 10.5 light years, so probably 56.5. However, a bigger increase in speed can be done by unlocking engineers. And of course, initially, the materials required are not particularly difficult. But if we're going to bother going to get the raw materials at all, we need to, well, we don't need to, but we might as well get as many of the raw materials as possible. And of course, after getting the raw materials, we'll go ahead and get the manufactured materials, which are, I have another video just showing that. And then after the manufactured, we'll go get the encoded materials, which are, I think, some of the hardest to get right now. Although raw materials, which is what we're going to do right now, which is what this video is about, raw materials have gotten harder, or at least slower, to acquire than they used to be. So for anyone watching that is brand new to the game, you can ignore my rant about how it's now harder or different than it used to be, because this is going to be the only way that you know how to do it. For people that have been around and maybe watching this video, then you know that the Limpet method in getting materials from shards has recently been nerfed. Whether intentional or unintentional, we will never know. But the last change that was made to the way the Limpets behave, including the way they circle underneath the ship, had also made it impossible to be able to gather shards. So, in that vein, we still need to gather materials, and we have 2 ways to gather materials. And now the new guys can start listening in again. Our 2 paths to gather materials are to use the Limpet method, which I will show you in a little bit, on Braintrees. And the Braintrees are a type of plants that grow on some planets, but not others. And the Braintrees fruit is actually raw materials. And different Braintrees in different regions will have different materials that you can pick up. When you shoot them, they'll drop the fruit essentially, and you can pick up the materials. Now, we're going to use the Limpet method for that. I'll also demonstrate the SRV method on that as well. And then for the other method, the one that used to work really well using Limpets, now no longer works using Limpets, which is the Shard method. And I'll demonstrate at the end of the video what the new way of collecting from the shards is, It's what I'm referring to as the hybrid method, which is partly the way we used to do it with Limpets, but also partly the way we used to do it way long time ago with the SRVs. You'll also hear me refer to the SRVs as buggies or dune buggies because I tend to colloquialize all these things. The FSD to me is just a warp drive, and the SRVs are buggies. So if you're going to have a problem with that, just get used to it because that's how I call these things most of the time. All right. So with that out of the way, guys, and I'm sure I'll already be accused of wasting the first, 5.5 minutes of the video just talking. But with that out of the way, we'll go ahead and launch. And then we will head to the first planet where we're going to be able to use limpets to collect raw materials. However, before we can head there, the first thing we really are going to do is stop at a station to buy the two things we're going to need. Limpets, obviously, is one of the things we need. I already have some limpets aboard here right now, I believe. And if I don't, I'll certainly put some in. But I think I already have limpets. And then the other thing we're going to need, of course, are the guns to be able to knock the fruit off the plants. And we're going to need to buy those. We absolutely do not have those. So with those two things in mind, I'm going to do something in this video which I typically don't do in videos. For those of you who have watched many of my videos, I'm going to have a lot more cuts in this video because without cuts, I think this would be about a 3 to 4 hour long video. So in order to keep the time reasonable, short and fast, as I say, I will be making some cuts along the way. And the first cut's right now, where I'm going to magically appear at the station where we're going to be buying the equipment we need, rather than having you watch me actually just flying there. And now that we are landed on the stronghold carrier, and the reason for landing on a stronghold carrier is because it sells virtually everything. So it's a one-stop shop, which makes it easier to change out the ship into what we need to be able to gather the raw materials. So if you're not pledged to a power play faction, then you don't have access to stronghold carriers. I strongly encourage everyone to pledge to a stronghold power or to a power play power. There are minimal negative effects. I've got plenty of videos on participating in power play, but honestly, you could be pledged to a power play and never be attacked, with the one exception that if you go to a system of an enemy stronghold carrier, then after being there for a little while, not immediately, but after being in that system, maybe going shopping to a couple of stations, you might have people to start attacking you, and they're NPCs if you're playing in solo, of course. We're in the stronghold carrier because it contains all of the equipment that we will need. So with that, let's go shopping. The location of your stronghold carrier will vary depending on which power you're with. I certainly, based on empirical information, which I've got available and also posted, where you can compare every power to every other power, I have picked Yuri Grom for this new character, and that is because Yuri Grom rewards the most types of activities, and that kind of makes the decision easy. Probably second in the order of powers that I think make sense to new players would probably be Yilong Ru, because, or Rui, as some people would pronounce it, because he also has some great rewards for people that want to play it. They're just not as varied. So there are just more types of activities that will generate merits for me with being in Yuri Grom than with other powers. But I'd say those are my top two picks, is Yuri Grom and Liang Ru. So what we're going to need, actually, after I say everything is available here, this is one of the things that may not be, I'm going to need to look it up probably, is we will need a flak launcher. It is available. Look at that. The flak launchers are available. They're available in two varieties right there. The turret version and the regular version is the turret version can be operated by a second person. We're not going to worry about that. I believe the regular version also costs less. Yeah, definitely costs less. They have the exact same amount of ammunition, the exact same amount of everything. The only difference being that a second person in your ship can control the remote release flak launcher. We don't care about that. So we're going to buy a few of these. Now, they're not super light, so unfortunately, they will reduce our jump range. So we're going to buy at least two. Maybe let's get 4. It's going to reduce our range, guys, but yeah, our range is already down to 40 from 46. But with 4, the reason we're getting 4 is not because we're going to shoot all 4 at the same time. The reason we're getting 4 is because we're going to run out of ammo on the first one and then switch to the second one. Each one only holds 32 rounds of ammo. And that's not upgradable as far as I remember. So we're going to need to use one, then switch to the second, then switch to the third, then switch to the fourth. You may also notice in the bottom right there, we're way over power consumption. And that's okay because we're not going to be using all of them at the same time. So only one of them will be turned on at a time, which we should be within spec for power. Now, what else do we need here? The thrusters 5D is fine. Again, because eventually we'll be able to swap these out for 5A and then just make the 5As lighter and more powerful. But for now, we'll just run with the 5Ds. It's fine. Frame shift drive 5A. It's as good as we're going to get right now on engineered. 5D life support, 5D power distributor, 5D sensors. So these are all things that all the Ds are for lightness. The Ds are the lightest of the variety of A, B, C, D, E. The D class is the lightest of all these things. So I think we're going to leave everything as is. We may upgrade the power once we're done. Now let's check in here, see what we have. We need as much cargo as possible, so we leave the cargo in there. We cannot have a 5B fuel scoop because we're going to... Actually, you know what? We could do with a... And the difference between A and B is just B goes longer range, and A has a greater lifetime, which means before the limpet just like dies of old age. So this one is 420 seconds, which is what, 3.5 minutes. Does that sound right? So 60 seconds, 4 minutes would be 240. So 480 would be 8 minutes. So yeah, about 7 minutes. The A is 720 seconds, which is over 10 minutes. Because 10 minutes would be 600 seconds. So this limpet stays alive longer. This limpet dies faster, but goes slightly longer range. And then 1 just gives you 1, 3 gives you 2, and then, of course, 5 gives you 3 limpets. I may end up getting rid of the repair limpet because we're not going all that far, but we'll leave it there for now. Shield, we're going to leave alone. That's all we can get. That is the best we can get at the time being. So what else are we missing? We've got the cargo space. We've got the fuel scoop. We've got the field maintenance, which, again, we can live without that, given that we're not going too far. We don't need a detailed surface scanner. Oh, no, we do. We do for what we're doing here. Yeah, we need a detailed surface scanner. We need the repair limpets. Maybe. Not absolutely necessary, but useful. Collector limpet 3C will work just fine. We'll also put a wake scanner in there eventually when we're doing encoded material scanning. We'll add a wake scanner, but the wake scanners take a lot of power, and we need to first upgrade our power output by using engineers in the first place. So that'll be the last thing that we do, the last type of material that we do. Okay, so if we go to here and we look at, let's look at our fire groups. So let's create a new group where we'll have all of these on, but we'll manually shut them down. So let's see. And then we also need a repair or a collector limpet. We'll put that as 2. And we'll create a separate group for repair right there. All right, and then I'll leave all of the rest of this alone. All right. I know I say all right way too much, guys. So let's turn these off. We're going to leave one on. We're going to hit spacebar to go into it, and hit spacebar again to flip the active to inactive. You can see that only one of them has a little dot. That's the only one that's active. And look at that. Our power is barely, but it is fitting into the power that we're currently producing. So this is amazingly good luck. Now, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the priorities of a few of these things because by default, not all of them are correct. So we want the auto field maintenance generally on priority 3, which means if something else wants power, that gets shut off. And the reason for that is because it's only used in manually. Like when you actually are going to use it is only when you manually go in and turn it on. So there's no reason for it to have a high priority. That can be all weapons. I usually put priority 2 on every ship because if you start having power failures, forget about your weapons. You got bigger problems. You need to just get out of there, fly away. Cargo hatch oftentimes is put at 3, but actually we're going to need a 1 because we need the cargo hatch to be usable in order to collect the supplies we're going to be farming. Frameshift drives always on 1. Fuel scoop, usually put that on either 2 or 3 because it's only used when you're by a sun, when you first get into a system, and it's only when none of the weapons are out. So we can leave it on 3. Life support's a 1, power distribution's 1, advanced docking computer. This will put on a 2 or a 3 for the same reason as the fuel scoop. It's something that only gets used in a very specific situation and only when the guns are put away. And the reason I bring up the guns is because when the guns aren't being used, they're not draining any power. So when the guns are off, you're not going to have power being used for the guns. Sensors always 1. Collector limpets 2, not a super high priority. Super crew assist also a 3, just like the advanced docking computer, only used when the guns are put away. So anything that's used when guns are put away, you can put on a 3 or 4. Collector limpets are going to be used even when the guns are out, so we put those on 2. Heat sinks 1, it's important to be able to cool off. Repair limpet, put that on 3 because that's a rarely used, only if we do something stupid thing in the ship. And I mean, for shorter distances, I wouldn't even have a repair limpet. The main reason the repair limpet is on this ship, in fact, I may just take it off. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be just challenging Murphy's Law, though, if I take it off. But the main reason I put it on is because, remember, we were doing first footfalls, landing on planets, not hovering in space, but landing on planets with the potential to damage the ship at about 2 light years away. And so, 2 light years, 2,000 light years away. So when you're 2,000 light years away, there's no stations nearby to repair you. So you have to bring your own repair limpets to repair your own ship, not somebody else. And then the rest of these don't have priorities. They're just on all the time. So, let's get back here. Go back in here. So if I wanted to really lighten the ship up, I would probably only bring like 2 or 3 of these to make it super light. Here, I wouldn't do anything because we're already in light mode, as it were. Here, I would probably get rid of the repair limpet controller and then not have that in there. You know, I have a size 4 auto fuel maintenance on most of these ships. Like when I have them fully engineered on other accounts, I will have a size 2 only auto field maintenance, and then have something else in there. But I'm trying to think what else we need because we got a scoop. Oh, and I know why. Because normally instead of having the fuel scoop in 5, I would have the Guardian frameshift booster, which gives you an additional 10 light years of range. And that's a size 5, so that has to go in there. And so then I would have to use like a size 4 scoop. But if I use a size 4 scoop, then that goes away and I have to put it into a size 2 slot. So that's why this is all shifted, is because we don't have a Guardian frame shift booster. For that reason, I can have a size 5 field scoop, and because it's a 5 scoop, I can have a size 4 field maintenance. So there we go. That actually all makes sense. And the only other thing we're going to add to this, and I guess I need to remember to do this, is a planetary vehicle hanger. There are two types. Biggest difference is the weight. This one costs more, but it weighs half as much. So obviously that's the one we're going to put in there. Now it's also going to jack with our power usage. And so we're going to go back out of here, go over here. And now you can see we're using 105% power. Well, what we're going to be doing, why is this not moving? Hello. Oh, because it's giving me this stupid message. If you ever go over here and you can't move your cursor at all, that means that you have this message sitting in front for you. And this happens. I've had this happen literally for like 7 years now. So you'll know when you have it. Make sure you go back, look forward, and click the OK button, which is going to remind you to go over here. Like you already went here to make the changes that you need to. But no, it's not going to let you make the changes until you go back and you look here, you click the OK button, then you can go here. So there's my rant for that. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn off the auto field maintenance manually. And you can see that now we're at 93% usage. Okay. Now, if we start turning these back on, our usage is going to start going back up. But as long as only one of these is turned on, we're basically sitting at 93%. So that's what it's going to use if the auto field maintenance unit is off. So what I'm going to do instead is make this automatic. I'm going to put it on 4 so that it's the first thing that gets shut off if the ship needs more power. And it'll be on right now, but as soon as we actually try to use something like pull a weapon out, something that'll use more power, then the auto field maintenance unit will automatically be shut off. And it doesn't need to be on unless we're manually repairing. Now, you could also manually turn off the planetary vehicle, right? That's going to be a 5% savings right there. But, you know, because we're not going to need to use the field maintenance unit, unless very rarely we might, I'm not going to worry about it and just put that on 4 so it's always going to be off. But it's going to be automatically turning on and off depending on whether the ship needs more power or not. Hopefully that is enough overview for you to understand why I'm doing the things I'm doing. I do have a separate video that covers this panel. It covers this panel. It covers this panel. And it covers all the panels and what everything means when you're looking at it, guys. So that's a separate video that I did for that. If you're curious, by all means, watch that as well. Okay, now we've bought the equipment that we need. The next obvious question is, where are we going to fly to? So this is a spreadsheet, and I'll have a link to it that has locations of all the raw materials. And I've kind of gathered this data from Reddit, from going to places in the past myself, from looking at other videos. So this is kind of a combination of all the data as of 2025 for where to go to collect different materials. Just because I'm OCD, I'm going to need to capitalize that. So where we're going to go initially, looking at the spreadsheet, we see the same systems. We have HIP 36601 popping up a lot. We also see this 35G carnate popping up a lot. So let's look at the HIP first. It's going to zoom us out. And we're going to do a plot route. And it's 58 jumps to get to this location. So it's a long ways out. Now, I will tell you that HIP 36601 is historically the location that I've always gone to gather the raw materials because it has 4 if not 5, but at least 4 out of all of them in one area. Not on the same planet, but in a set of 4 planets right next to each other. So it's a very convenient location. And it has the highest density of material because it has shard trees and not brain trees. Brain trees drop, well, they don't always drop what you want. They drop something that has a higher or lower percentage of being what you're actually looking for. Whereas the shards are 100% guaranteed to drop only one thing, and that is the thing that you're trying to get there. So this has been historically where we've gone, but it's quite a long distance out. And there is a faster way to get there that I've shown on a different video as well. But let's check the other location for the sake of this, which is 35G Kearney. And it's in the opposite direction, and it is 14 jumps. So significantly closer to where I am, and where I am is really kind of the middle of the bubble. I'm a little bit on the upper side of the bubble. I'm not quite smack dab in the middle, but I am nonetheless in the bubble. So we're going to do this location. This location has the Braintrees rather than the shards. So this is going to be a less efficient location, generally speaking, for gathering materials, because you're not guaranteed 100% of just the one material you're looking for. You simply have a higher percentage of that material in the trees. However, this is also, because it's Braintrees, is a site that we can do without leaving the ship. And I'll show you how to do it both with staying in the ship and using drones, using limpets. And I'll show you how to do it using the buggy. Yeah, I'm going to start using that term. And actually, before I forget, one last thing here is I bought the planetary vehicle hangar, but I didn't get the actual vehicle. So I need to load on the vehicle in there. There are 2 vehicles, the Scarab and the Scorpion. They're both considered SRVs. I call them both buggies. Main difference between them. Well, there's a few. This one is lighter, which is why we're going to buy it, because it's going to affect you less. Actually, I guess it doesn't even take into consideration their weight. Never mind. It is lighter, but it's not going to have any effect on the jump range. I thought this would have a better jump range than this one, but apparently not. I'm not seeing that jump range change at all. So if I buy this, yeah, it's still 41. Okay, so now we're going to buy the other one. Buy this, and it's still 41. Okay. So the main differences are this one is way lighter. Because of that, this one can hover a lot higher. It has hover, both of them actually have hover motors that'll give a short little temporary boost straight up that allow you to fly over some obstacles in your path, that allow you to even hover a little bit. If you get stuck on something, you can go straight up and then tilt a little bit and kind of hover your way out of it. The SRV Scarab will be able to do that both higher and longer than the Scorpion, because Scorpion weighs a lot more. The other thing about the Scorpion versus Scarab is the Scorpion has a missile launcher, which is really cool for killing things quickly. But where we're going, there's nothing that's going to shoot at us. So really having a missile launcher isn't an advantage. The third difference between these is the Scarab can only carry 1 person. The Scorpion can carry 2 people. Again, we're flying solo, so the Scarab is perfectly fine here. And then the last difference is the Scorpion, I think, is a lot less squirrely. Like, it drives better. It's a newer, better quality SRV than the Scarab. The Scarab is like an older, more janky, more squirrely driving SRV. But we're still going to take it because having that better jump range may actually be beneficial to us, versus the much less jump range ability of the Scorpion itself. But generally, for most ships, I put a Scorpion in there. For this one, I'm going to put a Scarab in there. Oh, it's already fitted. So yeah, it's already done. There we go. So now we've got everything. We've got that. And everything means we're still missing one thing, and that's limpets. And I need to fix the structure. Every time you go in here, always fix your structure. Restock limpets. We're going to be buying all the limpets we can because there's a very high possibility there won't be any limpets available in that system. If there are any carriers there, that's great. We'll be able to rebuy more limpets. If there aren't any carriers, I want to have as many limpets aboard as possible so that, in fact, I'm kind of tempted to do something here. I'm kind of tempted to get rid of our... yeah, I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to get rid of our out-of-field maintenance unit. And I'm going to replace it with more cargo space. So let's get an additional 16 limpets put in there. And we will buy more of these guys, more of the limpets to fill that space now. We're up to 88, which is a lot. But we also lowered our jump range. Let's see by how much. So our ship now goes 41 unladen or only 30 right now. So we're going to have to recalculate the jump, and it's going to be more than 14 jumps guaranteed. But I'd rather have more limpets for this trip. So let's do that again. We'll go into routes. We're going to recalculate 17. Okay, good enough. We'll do it. Leaving the stronghold carrier and heading off to our first foray into picking up raw materials. All right, commanders, I'm going to fly out there. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, unlike most of my videos, this one will actually have a lot more cuts in it because otherwise it'd be a 3-hour video. So I will meet you when I get to that location, 17 jumps away. By the way, as we're flying here, I think we're about 1 jump out. Make sure that you're doing the D-scanner at every star. So you can see here, I'm holding down the button to do a scan. We refer to this as honking, like a goose honk in the game, because the sound it makes is a little bit similar to goose honk, I guess. But make sure you do that at every jump, anywhere you go. Just get in the habit of always having that, holding the button down like I'm doing again for a second time. It's not going to get any more data the second time, so it's not worth doing more than once. But make sure you do it at least once every time you jump to a system. Because that data has some price. I mean, you will get paid for it when you turn it in. But more importantly, whoever you turn it into will treat you selling that data as a beneficial to them activity, meaning you will get a higher standing with the faction that runs the station when you turn that data in. So it's always nice to have some data available to turn it in to get standing in the station. Like, for example, there are a number of things in the game where you need standing to unlock a permit to a new system. All right, we just arrived at the system, I believe. First thing we're going to do is go here and check to see... Oh, there's a station here? Damn, okay. Well, I was worried about not having any place to buy limpets. Boy, was I wrong. How about carriers? We got a few carriers here? Yeah, we got a few carriers here. So... Okay, there you go. So this is not a problem getting refueled here because there's a station called Southern Pride, South Pride, and we'll be able to reload on limpets and ammo if needed here. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get rid of all these and we're going to look at strictly the planets available. So let's make sure we honk the system first and foremost. And we find 29 bodies. Then we hit the asterisk key. Now, this is not 100% required because I will show you a different way to do this. But this is this is the same activity that you've been doing now. If you watched the last several of the series here of a new player, so you should be pretty used to doing this in a new system anyway, in order to find the exobiology and to get your first footfalls, you had to learn how to do this quite a bit. So it should not be new. We're doing the exact same thing. We're going through and finding all the planets, all 29 of them here. I like to start off with the ones on this side right here. These are going to be your gas giants, your really larger planets like that. Get as many of those found as possible. There should be one more somewhere. Might be behind the sun. Yeah, it's behind the sun. It's right there. So now, if we get out of there, go into the system view, planetary view, whatever you want to call it. Oh, this is a beautiful system. I like systems with a lot of ring planets. I've always been a fan of the ring planets, and not just because I enjoy mining. So they're building another large, looks like, construction site. All right, cool. See how far along they are. Oh, this is going to be a huge one. This is going to be a type 3. Interesting. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, so what can we tell by looking at this? Well, a couple things. One, there's a couple of carriers here. Two, there's a couple of carriers here. Carrier presence often, but not always, indicates that that's a place you're likely looking for. So let's go and check our chart. So this is 35G Carinae, right? So that's here, 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 and here. Okay, all 4 of those. So planets 1E, 2C, 2A, 2D. So 1E, that would be that one. Look at that. Amazing. And what are the rest of them? 2C, 2A, and 2D. 2A, C, and D. All right, let's go to this one first. And you can see this is why I looked for the carriers, because carriers like to park right next to planets that are useful. So I picked the first one of those. Let's fly to it. Let's see how far away this is. It's not too bad. It's a little over 1,000 light seconds, which is pretty close. May not even turbo to it. Just fly. And we're going to want our surface scanner ready. And as you can see, I've got it ready on the left side. There we go. Let me just check my fire groups. Fire groups look good. Okay, I need to start slowing down. I'm coming in a little too fast. You can kind of hear by the sound when you're approaching a planet. I just heard it a little bit too late. So just still slowing down. There we go. Once you're within 6 seconds, then you can go directly at it and get pretty darn close. Looks like a binary system. We got a couple of planets rotating around each other without anything being in the middle. And we're going to this one of those two. Okay. They're on A1E. And we're about close enough so you can launch a probe. It's only going to take 2 probes here, so we can launch one. If we had a engineered probe launcher, it would only take 1 probe, but since we don't, it'll take 2. All right, and there we go. We have Braintrees, vents, fumaroles, lava spouts. Braintrees everywhere on this planet, which is, oops, sorry. Get out of that view. Look at the normal view. You know, it's both nice that they're everywhere, but also it's not necessarily super accurate, if you know what I mean. Like if they're everywhere, that means that there could be areas where they're better in some and worse in others, but I always like to go on the sunny side, so let's try an approach on the sunny side first. And see what we get. It's a pretty hot planet, 192 degrees. That's almost 200 degrees Celsius, so like what, about 450 degrees Fahrenheit, something like that. Now, I'm going to hide this window. And I'm going to show ED Copilot because I want to encourage people to start using that. If you haven't downloaded, the links are all in my videos in the description. You can see all the different apps that I use from time to time. ED Copilot is one that I use quite a bit. It talks to you, which is the main reason I like it, because it can tell me things without me taking my eyes off the screen. So let me see if I can show that window. ED Copilot. Go. Okay, there it is. So I'll make it big for now, and then I'll transition it to be smaller. One of the things this has is we can go to, I believe it's under, it's either places or information. Let's check places first. So places, guidance, computer. Yeah, so the guidance computer shows you your current location. There's multiple ways to pull this information out, but this is one of the easiest, is to go to guidance computer, and you'll see as I'm flying around here, the numbers start changing. They're updating to my current location about once every second or so. And I'll go ahead and make this a smaller size window so it's not covering everything up. Like that. But the reason I pulled it up is because we're actually going to track where we find some useful forests of these things. And I'm going to also, in that spreadsheet that we were looking at earlier, I've gotten some locations that I've marked off on there as well that are useful. So what we're not looking for is like single trees like this, right? This is great that they're here, but it's just not much. What we're looking for is larger forests of trees. This is what I would call a very small forest, right? We're going to keep going. We're going to try and find something that has more trees together. Let me enable my eye tracking here so that we can have more movement. Now, this is maybe more mid-size. Ideally, we find something about double this size, but this is doable. So we can certainly start at something like this. Although I don't particularly like all the rocks. I think we're going to end up losing some limpets with all these rocks there. So yeah, we're going to keep going. Let's look for a spot that's more flat, but has at least that many trees in it, or more, right? So the eye tracking I have mostly so I can look around while we're flying in a straight direction. I can still glance over to the sides and try and find something over by the sides. Here's one. Here's the one that's a little more flat, a little bit bigger. So what we're going to do is we're going to flip into combat mode. We're going to open up our weapons. We're going to switch into the remote flak. We're going to ensure that our remote flaks are turned off except for one of them, right? Because we don't want to shoot 4 times for one. And now we're going to probably, for this size, we're probably going to shoot 4 times. And this is all before we let any limpets out. So we're going to shoot maybe right in this area. And shooting these can be a little tricky when you first start off, because you have to hold the button down when you pull it, the trigger, keep holding it down and then let go when it's close enough to where you want it to explode. So I'm pulling, holding, and then letting go just as I see it approach the ground. I'll maybe shoot that, and then maybe do one more kind of in this general area. Now that should have dropped a bunch of fruit. It doesn't destroy them. Now we're looking at it. We want to be right above it. And then you can go back. You can see that at about 600, it starts to disappear, right? We can then at about 700 to 1,000, and I've done testing. It doesn't make a whole lot of difference whether you're 700, 800, 900, or higher up. But probably 700 and up would be the minimum. Now let's launch both of our collector limpets. Remember when we bought them, one of the criteria was they had to have a range of over 1,000. So there's and we're at 700, so there's plenty of range for these to go down and be able to grab something and bring it back. Now make sure you open your cargo scoop before they come back. Also, this is where I was talking about, like, the difference between size 1, 3, 5, and 7 is size 1 has just 1 limpet out at a time. Size 3 has 2 limpets. Size 5 has 3 limpets. And size 7 has 4 limpets going out at once. So this is actually, this would be much faster if we were using a size 5 or even a size 7. And it would be faster if we had 2 sets of these limpets. So maybe, you know how I took out the emergency repair limpets and I replaced them with cargo to carry more limpets? Maybe instead of doing that, I could have put in a second size 3 limpet controller. Then we would have had 4 limpets going up and down. And you can see up in the info panel top right, it's telling us the materials it's collecting. So right now it's collecting antimony and cadmium. And here, let me turn this off so the camera's not moving again. So antimony is I believe that's one of the tier 4 elements, antimony. Cadmium is a lower tier material, so it's not as valuable. And the value is there's tiers 1, 2, 3, and 4 for materials. And each of the tiers can be traded for, I believe it is 16 of the next lower tier material. I believe it's 16, maybe it's 8. But it's essentially one of the tier 4s gets you either 8 or 16 of the tier 3s. Each one of the tier 3s gets you either 8 or 16 of the tier 2s, and so on down the line. So it's a way to trade down. This is why we always want to collect the tier 4s if possible, so that as we filled up on the tier 4s, we can easily trade down from the tier 4s down to the lower tiers with minimal loss. And now it's really just a matter of waiting for the limpets. They do their job. They haul the materials back to us. But you notice that they're not just bringing in one type of material. They're actually bringing, there's molybdenum, there's cadmium, so they're bringing a variety of materials. This is perfectly okay, given that I have literally no materials right now at all for this character, being a brand new character. My amount of materials is literally empty right now. And in fact, if I can, let me try and share that screen with you guys. I'll show you what that looks like. There we go. So this is, and I'm going to increase the size temporarily. So this is a view of ED Odyssey Material Helper, another app I use, which is very handy. So this graphically shows you and tracks in real time as you're collecting materials. The red bars will start turning to green. So you can see we've got 9 antimony, 18 cadmium, 12 molybdenum, 3 chromium. And the reason all those numbers are factors of 3 is because every single unit that is brought up becomes 3 of something when it's put into your ship. All right, let me shrink that back down. This will kind of track progress using that. There we go. And you can see the limpets are just circling the ship now. So they've grabbed everything that they could from this particular forest site. So now that's the one we just did. Now we have to fly around, look for the next one, and continue doing this same exact process. Now this is where I was mentioning this is much faster done at shard sites, or used to be anyway, not anymore, because the shard sites all give only tier 4 material and nothing else. So the shard sites were very efficient in providing a lot of the tier 4, which you can then trade down to lower tiers. Here we've collected a little bit of tier 4, but also some tier 3 and some tier 2. So it's a less efficient process here. And it's okay here because we still need the tier 2s and 3s and 1s even. So we have room for them, essentially. So when it gathers them, it still puts them to use. But if you're full of the lower tiers and you only have tier 4 to get, it becomes quite a slower process here to be able to fly around and get materials from the Braintrees versus the shards themselves. All right, let's keep going here. Got just little clumps of trees, nothing too big. I don't think the tree colors are any particular indicator. One other thing you can do too is, oops, I just had my limpet hit the ground, is if we go back into this mode, you can actually scan this and it'll tell you exactly what type it is. So it's a, what? Lividium Braintree. So Lividium is one of the several types of Braintrees. Here, like, I think the Lividium is the green one, I believe. Let's just make sure. Then we'll scan a red one after this. Oops, come on. And then let's do a red one. Yeah, Lividium. Now let's do a red one. Yeah, Rosium. So that's the other type. Now this is a smaller forest, but it's mostly the red guys. Let's shoot this one and see what we get. Again, we're going to be right above it. We're going to back up until they disappear. We're going to go to about 700 inches or so. I'm kidding, obviously meters. And then we're going to flip to 0 degrees. Now, why am I doing this flip? I did in quite a bit of testing, like 5 hours of testing actually, to figure this out. Because people were saying, well, you have to be in a particular position, otherwise it's not going to work. It sounded like BS to me, frankly. So I went out and tested. And here's what I found. It's 0 degrees plus or minus 20. So you can be anywhere between minus 20 and plus 20, and this still works. Why does it work? I only have a guess on that. I can't honestly know the exact reason. Only the developers know. But my guess is the reason that you have to be relatively flat like this when you launch the Limpets, and we'll go ahead and switch into that mode and launch the Limpets, is because, oh, I should have shot at the trees first, of course, is because if the Limpets don't go straight up and then straight down rather, and then straight back up, if they go at all with an angle, like an angle forward or an angle back, they tend to hit the ground. It's only when they can go straight down and then turn around and go straight back up that they seem to survive. So let's go. This is going to be a bit tricky because we're going to need to go down, shoot this with the flak, and then go back up before the limpet actually. Where is it? So this is the green one. Where's all the red ones? Right there. Okay, we weren't even directly above them anyway. So I'm going to shoot a couple of times here. going to shoot maybe right here once, and then right here once, and then right here once. Okay, that limpet's probably going to be dead, is my guess. Yep, he died because we didn't go high enough. So now we're over 700. We can level off. And now we can shoot off a couple of limpets. And these limpets hopefully will survive to go pick up whatever material is left down there. There we go. Now, other than being directly above them, which again, both being above them and being flat contributes to the limpets' direction, to their path being only straight up and straight down and not going in at an angle and hitting something, which you saw that limpet that took off after I shot the trees. It started flying at a bit of an angle because I was facing down. So that means the limpet coming out of the bottom of the ship actually came in a trajectory perpendicular to the direction that it eventually started traveling. So it kind of skewed its path to be more of a triangle than a straight line up and down. So anyway, make sure you're more or less horizontal, but you do have some wiggle room, about plus 20, minus 20 in that department as well. The other thing to mention before I forget here that came out of my testing is, so there's a limited amount of time between when you shoot and when the materials, the fruit, if you will, disappear. They despawn. That amount of time is about 3 minutes or so, maybe 4. But it's less time than the lifespan of your limpets. Let's put it that way. So your limpets will be alive longer than the amount of time that the fruit on the ground disappears. The material that's dropped disappears. This is also an argument to not shoot too many rounds. And I kind of find like 4 is plenty. It's also an argument, frankly, to have more limpets too. And maybe that's what we'll do. Since we have a station in the system, we should be able to go into that station and then just buy another limpet controller and replace the extra cargo capacity that we added. We'll just replace that with a limpet controller. And we'll double the number of limpets that we have going up and down. So that's something else that we can certainly do as well. But if you come across a really large forest of this stuff, right? By the way, look up or top right says new element discovered phosphorus. So we're also picking up elements, things like phosphorus that are, I think it's the lowest tier. It's like a tier 1 element. And you can see on that chart, more things are starting to get green, but some of them are also in tier 1. There's 3 in tier 1, 1 in tier 2, 2 in tier 3, and only one of them in tier 4, which is the antimony. And really, we need to be on this planet until that antimony is full, because this is the only planet of the 4 here in this system that this is the only one that has antimony. So until antimony is filled up, you should really just do exactly what I'm doing right now. So you can see I'm literally doing nothing. I'm just sitting here. I'm just waiting for the limpets to get done or for the material to despawn, whichever happens first. And it's very likely the material will despawn. So what I'm saying is, if you have a very large forest of these trees, don't shoot the whole thing. Only shoot the forest like 4 times. Let the limpets go out, do their thing. And then when the limpets come back and are just circling underneath your ship because there's nothing more to pick up, go shoot that forest 4 more times. And then you'll see the limpets will start going down again, because you don't want to just knock down everything that's underneath you and then half of it have despawn. You'd better off just knocking down half of that supply, picking up that half, and then shooting the other half and then picking that up. Because if you shoot too many things, it'll just despawn. Okay, you can see these limpets are done. They're circling the ship. Let me go back down here. Where's our stuff? Where are they? Here? Are they here? I don't see them at all now. Okay, there they are. There's the trees right there. So I'm actually going to shoot them again and just check to see if there's anything we missed. So boom and boom. And you can see the limpets are going, right? So we did miss some things. I'm backing up as quick as I can. Yeah, I'm actually over 900 now. And I'm going to level. Yeah, that usually happens. If the limpets are going while you're still shooting, they usually expire. Yeah, we lost both of them. But since they were going there, we know that if we launch another couple limpets, that we're going to be able to go pick up some more material right away. So just kind of keep that in mind, that if you shoot off too many rounds of the flak, yeah, you'll drop a ton of material, but that material will only stay alive for about 3 minutes before it despawns. And if you don't pick all of it up in 3 minutes, it will despawn. So they've dropped off 2 more things. They're going down for 2 more. So you can see how much I missed even on that first shot of not a particularly large forest. This is a pretty small forest. And I still missed some of the materials that just did not drop. Ooh, one of them died. Interesting. So that one definitely hit something. I'm actually going to back up to be more over that forest. I think I went a little too far forward. So do you see how the limpet is flying off to the side? I'm going to try and back up to be to where the limpet is real close to underneath me. So when it goes back up, it's going to go back up in more or less a straight line back up. And not like have to fly diagonally. Oh, that one died as well. All right, let's see if this one dies. So this one is going down, straight down. I'm not going to look at it because looking at it changes its path. If we lose this one, we'll just move on. Nope, this one did not get lost. It's going back. Whenever they start flashing like that, that means they're on their way back. When they're solid, it means they're leaving you. So that's another way of being able to tell whether the limpet is going towards you or away from you. Okay, and that was the last thing that it found. So now we're going to start flying again. Now, almost the entire planet is blue, so the direction I'm flying doesn't matter all that much. If there was a smaller area of blue on it, like some planets will have, then I very much want to keep track of the direction I'm flying so that I stay within that blue zone. Otherwise, I'm just going to be wasting time flying over an area that doesn't have any possibility of forest. So I'm going to turn this. Whoa. Turn this on again so I can look around. And, lost them. Okay, I knew that would happen. I was trying to keep the ship tilted down to not lose the limpet, but I guess I was too close to the ground. But that's all right. We got plenty of limpets. There's a station here we can buy more from. It's awesome. Okay, there's a good size for us. And here's a medium sized one. So we got a medium and they're both medium, but they're right next to each other. So this will be good for collecting. So we'll shoot over here. We'll shoot over here. And we'll shoot over here. So that's 3 shots. Well, let's do one more here. We won't shoot the forest on the right at all yet. We'll save that for the future. Then we'll just back up directly above it. Go up to about 700 or a little over 700. Level out. Get our limpets down. So after I'm done with the 2 forests right below me, then I will fly to the station and get more limpet controllers. That way we can show you what difference that makes. Let me blow this up temporarily again while we're having the limpets flying back and forth. There we go. You can see that there's more green coming in, but since we started with all red, this is actually a very good example of how much of each material we're getting here at the Braintrees. We've only gotten 9 of the tier 4 antimony. 9 material, which means 3 3 different fruit that were picked up, or 3 different chunks were picked up by limpets. We're getting way more than that, 36 in the cadmium and 21 in the molybdenum. So way more tier 3 material than tier 4. We got 24 of, what is that, chromium. So again, more tier 2 than tier 4. Although we got more tier 3 than tier 2. And then we also got some of a bunch of different tier 1s. Carbon, sulfur, iron, etc. So the goal is to be here and not leave until you've filled one of these tier 4s, which is antimony on this planet. And while we have the available room for all these lesser materials, you can see that we're maybe only getting, 9 out of all the rest of these, we're probably getting about 10% antimony. And then the rest of the materials that we're picking up are not tier 4. So 90% other stuff, 10% antimony. And it's likely going to be very much the same case on the other planets as well. So just keep in mind that if you already have quite a bit of the lower tiered materials and you come here, you may have limpets only pick up 1 or 2 things from a fairly large forest, and that's it. Because they can't pick up things that you're already full on. They'll only be picking up the things you don't have. They are intelligent enough to know the difference. And so if the only things that are missing are the tier 4 materials for you, like if you followed my my guide on the videos on trading down from tier 4 down to lower tiers, then even a large forest may result in relatively few things being picked up and brought in. Right now, we're literally picking everything that it gets dropped because we need everything, completely everything in the raw materials category. You didn't miss anything because the only thing I bought is a limpet controller, and they only had 1 in stock, so you didn't really miss anything there. But we're flying to a different planet. We're going to do the same thing on that planet. And then you can reference the chart in the link in the description for the location of the other planets where you could do the same thing. But before I end this video, I'm going to show you the old school method of doing this here with the Braintrees as well, because we brought the vehicle with us. So I'm going to show you how to use the vehicle. And the vehicle was the only method for collecting these for quite a long time in the past. Okay, which planet is it? It's over here. And so I want to make sure I show you guys that as well, because that's always your backup way to do it. If the limpets get nerfed again or further, you'll be able to still use the buggy to be able to do that. And we brought the buggy exactly for that reason. The other thing is I'll show you a clip of a different account who's currently already sitting in the Shard region in Col 36601 system. And I'll show you how to use the hybrid method to collect shards out there, which may actually be faster than the method that we're seeing right now. But I just want you guys to know all of the methods that you're able to collect materials, because you absolutely need these materials if you want to do engineering, and you absolutely want to do engineering. And anybody that tells you doesn't play this game, they're just pretending to play the game. So engineering is absolutely a huge part of the game. It's something you need to learn how to do, and you will have a much higher level of enjoyment once you've done engineering to your ships than if you don't do it at all. All right, there's our Braintrees right there. Again, most of the planet, we're going to go. Yeah, we're going to go to a nice sunny portion. I'm going to start coming in directly down and then sort of pivot the ship up at about 0 degrees, or no, about 200, I guess about 230 degrees, right around there. Put it on 70% throttle. And then I slow down again as we get closer. And we went too fast. Okay. This is why I want to slow down again as we get closer, because then this happens. So this is something that if you're going too fast will happen to you as well. It's going to run out of steam, or you're going to be going too fast basically for it to slow down. So normally I would just say screw it and then glide down. But just to show you what you can do, I'm going to turn around. We're going to aim back up. Wait for that FSD cooldown in the bottom right corner. As soon as that cooldown's over, we're going to go back into the FSD and we're going to reattempt landing. Hopefully it'll work this time. By having no throttle. So keep throttle on 0. Except for right now, you're going to need to throttle up just to be able to accelerate out into warp. But as soon as you get into warp, put the throttle on 0. We're going to go sideways to the planet. And we're going to find... God damn it, I did it again. I'm going to leave this in. I'm totally leaving this in. We're going to find an area that we can warp to where we can come in at an angle. Like something like that, we'd be able to, I think, come in at an angle. So again, we're going to go back up here and throttle up, escape out, put the throttle down to 0. Like so. Now slowly drop down like this until we get to... Okay, then now we're in the greens. Okay, we're above this yellow line. This is what I was trying to do. As long as you're above the yellow line, you can spin around all you want, no problem at all. Because I still want to land on the sunny side. So there's a long patch of sunny. I'm going to go down here. We're going to spin around so we're facing the right direction. And then come in with 0 throttle. I'm not going to touch the throttle at all. It's at 0. And we're going to come in, and it's going to go to a glide slope, which again, you can go down pretty low. You can go down 60 degrees on the glide slope. And then come in and start looking for Braintrees into this, what appears to be a pretty flat area. I'm sure it's not as flat as it looks, but it's flat-ish. So if you ever come in too fast, reaccelerate back into warp and then just keep your throttle on 0. That's the easiest way to finally get there. Of course, if you would have come in slow to begin with, then that's obviously the faster way to do it. Okay, let's see if we can shoot some stuff here. Should be trees popping up. Oh, there we go. There's a nice little forest, right? So we have no limpets up, so we're not afraid of losing limpets here. I'll just switch back into the combat mode, go to our flak, pop those out, go up to about 400 or so. There's 1. There's 2. The 3rd one in this corner. And maybe the 4th one over here. Okay, now I'm right above them, right? So I can flip around to 0. I'm at almost 600, so I'm just going to go up a tad to be just over 600. And now I'm going to start popping my collectors, but also I'm going to go here and add the new one that we just bought into the fire group. There's our other collector. All right, so now we have 3 instead of 2. I wish they would have had a larger size. We would have had a 4 instead of 2. But 3, hey, 3 is still a 50% increase, right? Oh, yeah. Kind of need the cargo scoop open, huh? And we'll just let these guys work for a little bit. What this method does is it essentially minimizes the chance, doesn't completely prevent, I don't want to use that word, but it minimizes the chance of limpets hitting the ground. By staying directly above where the limpets are collecting, their path goes from total vertical down to a total vertical up with the least amount of path left to right or for front or back. That's the only thing that's keeping them alive. Because if I was to move forward a little too much, or if I was to angle the ship a little too much, the limpets will start dying. And in fact, I can show you that if we wanted to see that. Let's see how many of them go back down. If some of them go back down, I'll angle the ship, and you guys will see what happens as a demonstration. All right, so at least a couple of them are going back down. All three of them are going. Wow, there's a lot of materials here. But I'm going to screw with this. I'm not going to move it all. I'm just purely changing what the ship is looking at. So I'm now looking straight down. You'll be able to see the limpets. And you can see they all died. They all died when we started looking down at them. They didn't die because we were looking at them. They died because their path, their tracking, is now going to require them to move sideways. So when they get to the ground, instead of going straight back up, exactly straight up, now they start moving slightly in a diagonal line off the ground because they're trying to get to below where the hatch on the ship is. And when the ship is looking down, the hatch isn't above them anymore. The hatch is actually going to be to the side of them and up. So kind of a triangular shape. And just to show you that if we flatten back out, and let's say we're just like 10% here, we can launch some more limpets here. And they should be able to go down there and grab stuff and bring it back, even though we're here. I'll go to exactly 10, even though we're at 10 degrees. And the limits from my testing is about plus or minus 20 degrees. That seems to keep them from dying. But if you go to like 30 degrees, then they'll die about half the time. If you go to 40, they'll die 100% of the time. So within plus or minus 20 seems to be a safe amount to keep the limpets alive. Now, because this character still actually does need to collect materials, I'm letting the limpets keep roaming. But notice on that display in the upper left-hand corner of you guys, they haven't collected a single tier 4 element on this entire planet. The antimony they got from the last planet, on this planet, they haven't picked up any tier 4 materials at all. So you could see that this is going to be a more difficult process to collect materials using Braintrees than was in the past possible by using limpets on the shards. And I'll have the examples on the shard at the very end of this video. The next thing I want to demo to you is the sort of old school process of collecting materials, both from Braintrees and from shards. We have to find another forest where we haven't been yet for me to do that. There's one tree. How about we get more than just one tree, guys? I think these limpets are probably going to die because they're going to hit the ground. As I'm flying around here, looking. Don't see anything yet. It's not really a forest. It's just individual tree elements. Nope. All right, I'm going to turn my eye tracker on again here so I can find things a little quicker. A lot of individual trees here, just not a whole lot of forest. And the reason for a forest, we could use the individual trees just as easily, but the reason for a forest is just efficiency. Like having a large number of trees in the same area means, well, screw it. This will be good enough. This is good enough. So unfortunately, limpets, goodbye. We're going to have to say goodbye to you guys because I'm going to land. And that is by definition going to kill you. Because you can't be circling underneath me if I'm landing. Yeah, they hit the ground. Okay, now we're going to go down here. We're going to go and select our dune buggy. We're going to hit deploy. All right. Low gravity, that's not a warning. That's a good thing. Now, you see that little X shining up. So if we lock that, it says phloem excretion. That's the things that we're shooting. They're basically like slightly dried up fruit. There's two ways to shoot them from here. One is, as long as they're targeted, we can go into combat mode, and we can make sure that on our screen here we have okay, data link computer can be, they frankly all can be one. There's no difference here. All right, dual repeaters, come on, let's go. Oh, increase distance from ship. I forgot about that. Yeah, there is a minimum distance where you can't shoot if you're too close to the ship. We're still within that distance, apparently. So we knocked it out. Okay. Now, do you see how it's stuck in the tree? Here's the thing. That being stuck in the tree is the reason limpets work in Braintrees. Because quite often, the material that gets knocked off the tree doesn't actually fall out of the tree. It stays in the tree. When we raise our distance to over 500 meters, when we go to 600, the tree disappears. The material does not move. It doesn't fall to the ground when the tree disappears. It stays exactly here. So when the limpet comes down, it's able to come down, grab that material, and then go straight back up without hitting the ground. This is why Braintrees work. Shard trees don't work, because the shards fall down to the ground, with very, very few exceptions. Like maybe 1 out of 100 shards will actually not fall to the ground. But with Braintrees, quite often they don't fall to the ground. So can we even pick this up? It's going to be tricky. First we have to select it. Then we have to get up close to it. And now we have to use our boost to try and move it and get right up on it. It's not easy to pick this up. We may not be able to pick it up, guys, because it needs to make contact with the buggy to pick it up. And I'm not quite making... There we go. I got it. All right. So I got one. I actually didn't get it. I blew it up. But if my cargo was open, I would have gotten it. Now let's shoot this one off. This is a Massidian seed pod. All right. This one actually fell to the ground. Yay. Now again, select it. After shooting it, turn around and drive underneath the tree here to pick it up. We'll probably hit the tree as well. There we go. Now we got it. New material discovered. What did we pick up? Tin. We picked up tin. All right. Then we have that. That was the original one we tried to shoot. Okay, that flew out. So that's definitely going to land on the ground, which is great. This one, let's lock that. Shoot it. That one's going to fall. That's technium. Technium, I think, is our first one that we're going to get a level 4 material from. So, yay. There's our technium. Now, drive around. Remember, you always got to select it before you pick it up. So, hit select for target. Target would be the right term. Pick it up. And that was another technium. So, those two gave us 6 technium, which is great. That's a level 4 material. That's the one that's hard to get. That's the one that we want from these trees. Everything else is much more easily acquirable. So can we shoot at that? I don't know. We're missing too far away. How about this guy? Okay, that is a piece of manganese, and it might get stuck in the tree. Nope, it's going to fall. Okay, good. So let's drive out here. As long as your wheel touches, that's good enough. You'll be able to pick it up. Just make sure your cargo scoop is always open. If your cargo scoop is closed, the material will disappear, but you won't actually get it. You'll essentially be destroying it by coming in contact with it. All right, shut that out. Shut that out. This, all the ones that look the same, like this is always going to be technium. This kind of orangey looking stuff. At least I believe that's the case, guys. We'll find out. And then this one is tin. And if you don't need to pick up tin, let's say you're full of tin, then you can obviously ignore it. When you select it, you'll be able to see what it is. So this Mustian was probably going to be tin. But Nope, it's niobium. So niobium can also look like that, but it's now stuck up in the tree. It's stuck in a tree, so we can't pick it up unless we hover and try and land on that tree or something, or like fly over it or something. How about this guy? This is also stuck in a tree, and it's technium. And we kind of need the technium, so we're going to have to do a little... See how many of them get stuck in trees, guys? And I think this is literally why the drones method still works here, but it doesn't work on like this. Let's try flying here. There we go. We picked it up. Yay. Except now we're stuck on top of the tree. Yeah. We are... there we go. We are now... This is where we're going to live now. This is our home. We are now going to be tree dwellers. I should probably make a screenshot because everybody else seems to do these types of screenshots. What do you all think? Is this a cool looking screenshot or not really? Yeah, I think it's interesting enough to make the screenshot at least. So let me do that. Sorry about doing that in the middle of all this exploration. And then let me make one as well with the ship in the background and this thing up on top of a tree. That looks perfect. That's a fun one right there. All right, here we go. Okay. So we're still in here now. What do we do? Well, we do have that ability to fly, right? So we could just kind of fly off of it. And remember when I was telling you one of these is much heavier than the other? Well, this is the lighter one, right? So this one, you can get up, you can get up to a decent speed like this and then hover, and you can just fly and fly and fly over a pretty long distance. So for pure exploration, this one probably is a little better, but I like driving the other one more. The other one drives more like an actual 4x4. This thing is just bouncing like a goat. So let's shoot this thing. Can we knock it off the tree? Nope, that's also stuck in the tree. You see that? It's stuck in the tree again. So again, we have to get right up to the stupid tree and then fly up. What is it? It's manganese, so it's less important, so I'm not going to bother. Don't care. That one fell down. That's also manganese, though probably we'll find out once we lock it. That is manganese. Yeah. Anyway, you get the idea. This is the process. This is what we did for many, many years. This was the only way to get these materials. You can see how much slower this is per material compared to doing it using limpets, right? Like you're literally individually shooting each one. You're trying to chase it around. It's getting stuck in the trees. Blah, blah, blah. There's another technium. So technium is going to look like these things, meaning these sort of gold-colored bits. So that one's likely a technium. This one is likely a technium. Knocked it out, but it's still in the tree. That one right there is probably a technium. Stuck in a tree, also technium. That one is going to be likely a technium as well. So they all have the same physical look. So at least when you're driving around collecting, once you've shot one of this type, the style or this type of material, then you know visually what all of these are going to look like. All right, we already knocked that one down. Are we ready? Oh, that one's stuck in a tree. Again, you can see how many of them get stuck in trees. And it's frustrating when you are in a buggy to do that. But check this out. Let's see if we can do this before it despawns. If we go back to the ship, right? And not kill ourselves in the process. By the way, when you're going back to the ship in the buggy, you don't have to be facing the right direction. You can face any direction as long as you're directly below it. To the bottom right, you'll see that it lights up boarding ship when you're in the right position. It turns blue right there. Now you hit 3, and now you can go ahead and board. Doesn't matter what direction you're facing. It'll spin you around the right way. So what we're going to do now, we've got like 3 or 4 of these that are stuck in trees, right? Remember, we have a 3-minute countdown and we're already about a minute into it. We're going to take off, put away our landing gear, go up to about 5,000, or sorry, 500. Okay, we're high enough. Now I can start dropping. Okay, we're too high up now. I'm going to go down. But essentially, I went about twice as high as we should have. Okay, so one of them's working right there. One of them is bringing some stuff up. And the other 2 have left now. We're going to go back up a little bit, so we're at about 600 meters. Okay, one of them's dead. That's all right. And the other one's dead. Well, let's try it again. Well, I saw that they were not quite. Let me move to the ship to be directly underneath them. And then launch another one. And now, hopefully, it'll come back up. Nope, it's dead. Okay. Well, the trees definitely have despawned by this point. So he should be able to come down and pick it up, but no, they're still dying. But what I was going to show is the fact that they are able to pick up the materials that were stuck in tree. This one's coming back. Interesting. They're able to pick up the materials that are stuck in trees, even though we knocked those materials out of the trees with the dune buggy instead of using a cannon from the ship. But it's the same net effect. Open up the cargo. It doesn't matter how the material was knocked out of the trees. The point is, it was stuck in the trees, and at this height, the trees have despawned. So the materials are just floating in midair, essentially, and the limpets are free to go down and pick them up. As long as that angle isn't too bad. So there we go. There's all that technium that we knocked off. So we actually collected a decent amount of technium, a total of 30 units, 32 units of, no, 36 units of technium. So that's pretty good. So we need 150 to fill it completely up. And you can see that chart getting greener up top. So that's the second way. So the first way is basically to use the ship and limpets. And you saw how to do that. The second way is to go down on the ground. And you saw how to do that. And now we're going to jump 1,000 light years from here into Col 36601, where I have another character sitting there right now. And I'll show you the hybrid method of using the shards, which is, it's faster to some extent, but it's not as fast as we used to be able to do by using limpets on shards, which unfortunately no longer work. All right, guys, now we've switched accounts. So now we're in HIP 36601A, 01 rather. It is a system with 3 suns and a bunch of planets, and it's these planets, which are pretty far from the sun. Specifically that one, that one, that one, and that one that have the tier 4 material shards. So let's fly over there. We're going to go to the technium one, because technium was also, oh, there's a planet here. Let's get around the planet first, and then we'll fly over there. Technium was the thing that we were collecting just a few minutes ago on the other account from the Braintrees, and you saw that it was popping up occasionally. It was getting stuck in the Braintrees, which is also my theory for why Braintrees still work with limpets, is because of those stuck materials. Now you're going to see what getting technium was like previous, or it was. You can still get technium there. I shouldn't say it used to be. It still is a place where you can get technium. It's just we have to do it slightly differently. Let me accelerate past the planet here, and then I'll be able to. There we go. fly to where we need to go, to that technium location. It's not very far from here. And you'll see what it's like with the shards. So with the shards, what we're going to be doing is essentially a hybrid of the previous two methods that I showed in this video. The two methods being from the ship with limpets or from the ground with a buggy. The hybrid of that is that we're going to use the ship's guns to knock down the shards to the ground, and then we're quickly going to land, and instead of using limpets, we're going to use the buggy to drive around and collect to pick up the shards that have been knocked down. Now, how are shards different from the Braintree fruit that we're getting? Well, one of the biggest differentiating factors there is that every single shard is going to contain a level 4 material, like technium in this case. So all the shards on the planet that we're flying to, which is I guess technically a small moon of this planet on the right, every single shard on that planet is going to drop technium. Whereas with the Braintree plants, most of the Braintrees are going to drop other materials, not the tier 4 material, but a few of the Braintrees will drop a tier 4 material. So this is why people have been flying to HIP, and I've been saying Cole 366, but it's actually HIP 36601. Why people have been flying here instead is because it's much more efficient to get the tier 4s here. It takes less time, you'll be done sooner, and you can head back. And then you can simply trade down from the 4s down to the 3s, 2s, and 1s very quickly and easily at a trader, rather than actually spending the time collecting the lower level materials. So I think I'm flying slow enough. Hopefully I am. And we will just sort of veer in here. And be on the sunny side, a little higher up probably. Something like that. I've never noticed these. Oh, actually, before we do that, let's just use our surface scanner, because I don't remember. I don't think we've scanned this planet before. So let's just scan it right now.
Surface scanned by 50%.
Okay, what's missing? I'm too close. Hang on. Let me get further away from the planet because I'm not seeing... further out. I think I have to be... This should be good enough, I think. Take a look. Can I see the blue yet? Yes, I can see the blue. I was too close. Okay, so what are we missing? That little sliver? That's it? 2%? Okay. All right. So we have to fire, like... maybe right here. That should be enough. There. Then there's the crystalline shards. We have geysers, fumaroles, and the shards. Oh, let's zoom around. The shards are considered biologicals, by the way, in case you guys didn't know that. And we'll start heading back in. And I'm basically just flying at 0 throttle here. Level out a little bit, that or so, and then I'm gonna make a sharp left-hand turn before I actually land, so I get into closer to where we are. So I'm gonna go like this, and actually land kind of where we were before. I just had to fly in a different direction first before circling back. We're right on the edge here. All right. Do you see the difference? Me neither. You can hardly tell, right? But it does show up as a darker or lighter area initially. So this was dark. No, this was light. This was light, and this looks pretty normal, pretty flat. And also that was dark. And it also looks pretty darn flat, so I don't know, man. It's not a huge amount of difference. All right, let's start looking for the shards. And it's just a matter of flying close to the surface. All right, let's check out the little mountains here. See if we start seeing anything here. Yep, there we go. So a little change in scenery. So first thing I'm going to do is demo to you how these work and how they're different from the Braintrees. You see they're just crystalline structures. They stick straight up. They have crystals in them. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a shot. Go into our remote flak. Going to take a shot right in the middle here.
Power plant capacity exceeded.
Yeah. Okay, that was way too slow a reaction. But already, you see these little shards just sliding along, right? You can see how they're sliding on the ice. There's one there. There's another one over there. There's another one over here. There was one that flew off over here. So that took out a bunch of them. So if we go directly above this, we do the same thing we did before. Directly above, we go up till they disappear at over about 500 meters. So we're at about 500, 600, 700 meters. They're totally gone, right? So we can stop at about 800. We flatten out so that the limpets go straight down. But remember, when you look at them, you can see that those things are laying flat on the ice. We let a limpet down. And you'll see shortly that it's going to die. And it's going to die. And here, we'll even move this so that we're directly below it. Or that it's directly below us. The reason it's going to die... Oh my god, it didn't die. Okay. Well, this is always the case, right? It's always the one exception that happens. Here, let me launch another one. Whenever you're saying it's not going to happen, it happens. So that, pick one up. Let's send the second one.
Limpet drone error.
Oh, yeah, need to open that.
Cargo scoop deployed. Collector limpet.
Okay, that one died as I expected. Let's see if this one dies when it goes down to pick up a second load. Because they, like 99.9% of them have died when I've done this. That one's dead as well. Okay, so they're dying because when they scoop down to pick that stuff up from the ground, they touch the ground, and touching the ground kills them. All that stuff that was stuck in the Braintrees was stuck in the tree. The tree, when we backed off, disappeared. It was no longer rendered. The limpets were able to come down, grab something that was literally hanging in midair. Here, things aren't hanging in midair. They're actually flat on the ground. So let's find a bigger area and I'll show you the actual hybrid method. Let's find another group of these things where there's more of them together than this little patch. And I'm almost out of limpets here anyway, so this is a good opportunity to use the other method. It'd be nice if there was some here. So we did get one limpet to pick one up, and I will bet you that if we had a camera looking at it down there, what we would see is that one of those pieces that knocked down from this got stuck in the actual piece, didn't fall to the ground, it was just kind of stuck hanging around here. You could see like there's one piece right there. And sometimes when you hit them, when they're up higher, or like even maybe this one down here, right? That could easily get stuck when it's falling down. And instead of falling to the ground, it's just going to be stuck where it is, slightly above ground. And that's the kind of thing that the limpet can pick up. But if it's actually on the ground and it has to swoop in down low, it cannot pick it up. So let's fly over to someplace where there's more of them. Come on, where are y'all hiding? It does seem like they're more in the mountainous areas than not, so we can go around the mountainous areas here. Okay, that's not enough to get out for. That's not really enough to get out game. That may be not really as much. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Here we go. This is plenty. Good. So now here's what we're going to demo. We're going to shoot, and then we're going to land very quickly. So let me put my landing gear down right away so I don't forget. Close the cargo scoop. Whoa. Close the cargo. Come on, close the cargo scoop. And then I'm going to shoot. Yeah. Come on. Shoot one there. Shoot one there. Gonna shoot one there. And shoot one there. And then shoot one over here. Okay, that should have knocked off plenty. And then maybe shoot one right over here. And then we're going to just land right here and get in the buggy right away. So let this auto land. I've got auto land enabled on here right now. I often don't use it because I don't trust it, but we'll just do that. You can see we've got the buggy ready. Okay. Drive this puppy. And now we're going to open up the cargo scoop right away. And we're going to go to where we've been shooting and look for little white squares. So here's one somewhere here. No, that's not one. Where are you guys? There should be plenty of them laying on the ground here. Okay, here's one. Here's a couple, right? One right there. So we'll pick that up. So there's 3 technium. Here's another one on the ground. We'll pick this up. And keep driving. There should be plenty of them on the ground here. There's one right there. Pick that up. There's another one right there. We'll bounce off that and pick it up. Like so. There's more on the ground right there. I mean, all of them should be on the ground here. The question is just how far away they are from the main area. There's another one. And as we start heading back, you will see there's another one right here. So this is why I'm calling it hybrid, right? Because like this one is not on the ground. We can shoot at it, but oh, this one's stuck in the air. Yeah. So this is one a limpet could actually pick up because as you can see, it's stuck in the air. We can't get it. Well, we can, but not super easily. But and there's another one that's stuck. You see that one stuck right there? That one right there, probably a limpet could also do. But we're focusing on the ones that are on the ground. And then let me drive over it to pick it up like that. And there's more on the ground over here. Come on. Whoa. Back up. Come on. Get that one. Get that one. There's another one right here. Get that one. There's another one right. There's so many of them here, guys. So we're picking up the ones that are on the ground. I don't know why I blanked out. There was not a high G turned by any stretch. Pick that up. That one I think was not. Yeah, that was probably another stuck one. Nope, that was one that had just not been blown out. We can still shoot it out and pick it up as we're picking up others driving around. That one's right there. You see that one right hovering in the air? Limpet might have been able to pick that up, maybe. But the one right after it definitely couldn't pick it up. That's actually flat on the ground. And then after that one, you see that was one on floating. That probably would have made the limpet crash into the ground. It's too low to the ground as well. So this is why I call it the hybrid method, guys, because what you're doing is you're using the ship cannon to very quickly knock down a bunch of these all at once. There's a bunch of them over here. And then you're using the buggy to still pick them up. Oh, did you see that? They despawned. Okay, so that's the 3 minutes I was talking about at the beginning of the video. They will only last for 3 minutes. So at this point, everything that was on the ground is gone. This is also why I tell people don't shoot more than 4 shrapnel, 4, what are they called? These guns, the, not shrapnel, they're, well, you know what I mean. Like, don't shoot more than 4 because you're going to blow off more than you have an opportunity to pick up. So now we go back in here. Let's board the ship. We see on the bottom right there, it says board ship is okay. That's lit up blue. So that means we go down here, we can hit board and it'll spin us around again. Let's see how well we did. So we had 0 technium when we started. We were able to pick up 54. So 54 out of 150. Again, the main reason for using this particular buggy rather than the other one, the SRV, is this one can jump higher and longer. And when you're doing pure exploration like this, being able to jump is pretty handy. If I go do a Guardian site, which I have a separate video showing you how to get the materials to get a Guardian FST booster, if I do that, I will absolutely use the other buggy. Because there I'm actually actively shooting drones, Guardian drones, and having that cannon, or that's not cannon, having that missile launcher is very beneficial. But for this stuff where there's nothing attacking me, I don't have to shoot at anything, I think this particular buggy with its better jump abilities is better. I would shoot that. It's just not enough to really get out of the ship for. That's why I'm kind of looking for a slightly bigger forest of shards here, so that there's enough reason to justify getting out of the ship and driving around in the buggy. But now you've seen all 3 methods. You've seen the Limpet method sitting in the ship. You've seen the pure buggy method of driving around and using the guns on the buggy to knock down... Oh, here we go. Yeah, this is big enough. To knock down the materials. And then now you've seen the hybrid method, which involves using the ship to shoot the flak cannon, which is also the word that I was forgetting, flak cannon. And now we just have to land and go pick up whatever we knocked off before it despawns.
Landing gear deployed.
Come on. Land. Time's the money. There we go. And remember to always open the cargo scoop immediately so you don't forget. Because if that's not open, you're not collecting a damn thing. Where is this? Are you just in front of us here? Hello. Oh, there it is. It's up the hill. I forgot. Oh, man. This thing drives so bad. Compared to the other one, it's really horrible. It's just purely the flying around portion that it's good at. Okay, now that we're here, let's start picking things up. So let's pick this up. There's more of them literally right next to me here. There's another one over there. This one's stuck, the one that we just drove past. So when I back up, you'll see this on the left. That one's stuck in a tree. That one could be collected with a limpet, but that's a pretty rare thing for them to be stuck like that. So this one's on the ground. This one's on the ground. Turn around. By driving back. That one's stuck. Okay, so there's another stuck one. This one is... I don't know if this one's stuck or it just didn't get shot out. But we'll turn around. We can still get this one pretty easily because it's... Even though it's stuck, it's right next to the tree. So we just have to touch it with a tire. That should be good enough. Oh, maybe it just never got blown out. There we go. It never got blown up. Now we grabbed it. Alright, let's go here. Here's one on the ground. This up. And do we have any more on the ground here? I don't see any more. There's one. There's two of them here next to each other. So you need to be very careful to touch one, but not the other, because if you don't have it highlighted, it won't be collected. That one's on the ground. And that happens sometimes if you hit. Okay, now we're gonna use our jets to straighten ourselves out a little bit. If you hit one of these crystals on the ground, going a little too fast with your wheel. Oh, see, that one's stuck up there. We can't shoot it out. It's just stuck. Like a limpet would totally be able to collect that. But this is why you can still do some limpet collections. The ones that get stuck may be able to be collected by limpets, but I don't know what that is. But this one was never shot out, so this one just simply was not close to where my ship shot. Yes. All right, I think that's probably it. Let's see if that one is on the ground or not. If it's stuck, or if it's on the ground, or if we can shoot it out. Okay, that one. Also, since we were able to shoot it out, that means it wasn't stuck. It just was not ever shot, or we didn't shoot it off the tree in the first place. I think that's about it. What are we up to? We are now up to 90 technium on this account, and then we were at 0. So this is the second forest we've gone to using the hybrid method. We're at 90. Keep in mind that on the previous Braintree example, we spent more time collecting. We did a lot more than 2, and we got up to 32 technium because the majority of what was there was not technium. So this is, even still, even though it's a hybrid method now, even though it's not pure limpets, it is still a faster method than the Braintrees. The question is, do you want to get in the buggy and use this method, or do you want to just use pure limpets and use the Braintrees? Or do you really want to fly about, I think we're 800 light years. Let's check. I'll tell you exactly how far we are from Sol. Sol's kind of the middle of the bubble. So from Sol, we are 1,600 light years. There you go. So 1,600 light years from Sol, 1,500. We're all the way over there now. And generally, it's been worth it to come out here because you get stocked up on all the tier 4 materials, or at least most of them. And the rest of them you get on your way back. But you basically get stocked up on most of them in just a matter of like an hour per material. Whereas using Braintrees, it can take several hours, maybe even a whole day to stock up fully up to 150 on your main material. So with that, I'm going to wrap up the video. Did I not go up? Oh, I got out. I hit the wrong button. Yeah, let's definitely not get out. Let's board. And then let's board the ship. I hit the wrong button. Now you know all 3 methods of collecting your raw materials. If you have questions, feel free to post on the comments of the video. If you want to use the tools that I've been using, like the ED Odyssey Material Helper, the Elite Dangerous Copilot, the links are all in the description of this video, as well as all my other videos. If you want to look at the spreadsheet that I had shown at the beginning of the video, that shows the, here, I'm going to stop that from jittering when I talk. It's literally picking up my head movement as I'm talking. if you want to look at that spreadsheet for the locations of where you need to fly, both for Braintrees and for Shards, that spreadsheet is also in the description of this video. So hope you guys enjoyed it. This is your 2025 update for collecting raw materials. It's still pretty easy. Unfortunately, not quite as easy as in the video from last year.